How you doing? My name's Phil Darby. I'm from Gornal. I only have 50% hearing, so if you heckle me, you just make yourself look a twat. That's it. Yeah, I was on in November. It's the first time I ever did it, and I must admit it was probably the most nervous thing I've ever done. And even now, I still feel nervous. But back in November, my friends were here, and a special guy called Doug, who unfortunately passed away in April. So this is for Doug, and Doug is either watching us up there or down there. But when Doug passed away, what was interesting was when you deliver bad news to people. I don't know if you ever happened to this, but I said something, I got some bad news. Doug's passed away, and they said, "You're kidding. You're joking me." Yeah, I'm sort of some sick bastard who makes up things like that, you know. But it made me start thinking, how can you deliver bad news to people? Do you get these phone calls about 6 o'clock at night when you're having your tea? And it's somebody trying to sell you insurance, or they're offering you compensation, or they can clear your credit cards. You get those phone calls? Yeah. And it's somebody goes like this. You pick up the phone and you click. And they say, "Can I speak to Mr. Darby?" And I've been able to stop these phone calls. And what I say, and this is true story, I say, "In what connection?" And they say, "Well, we believe there's an opportunity where we can save you some money." And I say, "I'm terribly sorry, he died 2 hours ago." And then they go silent and they say, "I'm sorry to hear that." And I say, "He wasn't that fucking happy, to be honest." And it stopped those phone calls. But I digress. I wanted to talk to you tonight. What I want to do, I want to talk to you about a few of my friends and some stories they've told me. And also I want to do my top 5 favourite jokes. And what's interesting, if you hear a song on the radio from 20 years ago, people say, "Oh, that was a great tune. That was a really good song, I love that." If you tell somebody a joke they've heard before, they go, "Not that old chestnut." If you're one of those people who does that, you look a knob. So don't ever do it again. So I start with a few stories about my friends. Doug was telling me he toured Europe for a few weeks, and he spent with his best mate, and he's from Upper Gornal. Anybody know Upper Gornal? I wouldn't cheer about it. You cheered Upper Gornal. So yeah, he toured around Europe, and he had a couple of weeks in Amsterdam, and he was telling me about this 60s club that he used to visit. And I said, "Wow, they played Motown." He said, "No, you get a shag if you're over 16. I said, "Brilliant, you know." And he said he'd been there a few times. He went one night, and he said to the ladies at the door, he said, "Tonight," he said, "I want the biggest, ugliest woman with saggy tits and a big hairy minge." And the lady said, "Are we feeling kinky tonight, sir?" He said, "No, I'm just homesick." Another mate of mine, and these are all in confidence, so I don't need to repeat them to anybody, but another mate of mine I was out with for a drink called Steve, and he's a good lad, but he was telling me, he said, "I don't know," he said, "I can't please that woman." He said, "Doesn't matter what I do, I can't please her." I said, "Why, what's happened?" He said, "Well, this morning," he said, "I went upstairs, I took a breakfast in bed, boiled eggs, little soldiers, nice filter coffee, little rose in a vase." I said, "That sounds great." He said, "Then I give her oral sex." I said, "Well, wow." He said, "But you know, that would please most women, but not my mother." Another couple of my mates here, like Dino and Andy, they're here tonight, they're good lads, and we were reminiscing about things that you keep as blokes. You collect things, you keep them, and they were talking about their porn collection. And Andy was saying that he can't look at this now because most of the pages are stuck together. And Dino said his collection's about 5 years old. He said some of those girls now are teenagers. Okay, I'm going to start my top 5 favourite gags. See what you think. I don't give a shit whether you laugh because they make me laugh. Number 5. Guy goes to the doctor. He says, "Doctor, I can't stop making love doggy fashion." The doctor said, "Have you tried it the normal way?" He said, "Have you smelled a dog's breath?" 2 dogs in the vet. One an Alsatian, one a Jack Russell, having a chat. The Alsatian says to Jack Russell, "So why are you here today?" He said, "I've got a bit of a worm problem, I'm getting dewormed." He said, "Oh, why?" He said, "Why are you here?" The Alsatian said, "See the lady up there, Melanie? She's my owner." "Why?" He said, "Well, yesterday she was in her nightie, she was bending over, cleaning the fire out." He said, "I mounted her from behind." "Oh my God," the Jack Russell said, "is she having you put down?" He said, "No, she's having me claws done." Bristol Zoo have a major problem. It's about to close. They're in financial ruin. There's a meeting of the board members. The only thing they can come up with, if they could get the 7-foot gorilla, Claire, pregnant, it could save the day. They've tried many times, but it's not worked. One of the zoologists suggests that they had a word with John, the zookeeper. They've been very close. And it's a well-known fact that human sperm will impregnate a gorilla. So they bring John into the room, and they have a chat and say, John, we are going to lose the zoo. We're going to lose our jobs unless you can get Claire pregnant. 500 quid. John says, I need to think about it. He said, John, you've got 24 hours. He comes back 24 hours later. He said, okay, I've thought about it. There are 3 conditions. He said, 1, no press. He said, John, we're not going to advertise this. He said, 2, no kissing. So that's fine. And finally, I need a few days to raise the 500 quid. Number 2. This guy called Neil has got a problem. He takes his wife to the doctors. He examines her. He said, I don't know what's the matter with her. She's off her food, she's off her sex, her memory's going. Doctor said, we need to take her to hospital. You need to get Joanne into hospital. He said, come back in 2 days. He goes back. He said, doctor, what have you found out? He said, well, we're unsure. She may have AIDS or Alzheimer's. I said, oh my God, what do you want me to do? He said, take her home now, drop her off 2 miles away. She makes it back, don't fuck her. And my favourite gag of all time is, there's a society wedding, a bit like Himley Hall. Yeah? Imagine it, a mansion like Himley Hall. There are 3 weddings going on that day. The end of the day is there, the 3 grooms in the bar, having a brandy and a cigar on the patio. And they're talking and saying, lads, tonight is the night we make love to the first time to our wives. It's not going to be the first time we've ever made love to them, but it is as our wives. It's okay. The one groom said, well, how many times should we make love to our new wives? As well, I don't think there's a number. And one said, well, what about a bit of a competition? Let's see who can make love to their new wife the most. Okay, but how are we going to know? We can't actually divulge that information. We're all in the room tomorrow, we're all in the ballroom tomorrow, having the breakfast. How are we going to divulge the information of who's made love to our new wives the most? The one groom said, I've got an idea. In the morning, when we order breakfast, we order the number of rounds of toast that we've made love to our wives. Okay. We're honest gentlemen, we're not going to lie. Okay. So I just picture it now, they're there with their wives and all the family having breakfast. The waitress comes over to the first groom. He says, would you like breakfast, sir? He said, yes, I would love a full English breakfast and 3 rounds of toast. The waitress goes to the second groom. Would you like a full English breakfast, sir? He said, yes, I would. And I'd like 4 rounds of toast. She comes to the final groom. Would you like breakfast, sir? He said, I would. I'd like a full English breakfast. I'd like 5 rounds of toast and make 2 of those brown. Thank you, good night.